Part 1. William Shakespeare. William Shakespeare is called the greatest writer in the English language. But even the greatest writer has mysteries. One fun fact: Shakespeare never spelled his name the same way. In his signatures, he used many versions. Sometimes Shakespeare, sometimes Shakespeare. No one knows the correct spelling. Another fact: he invented more than 1,700 words in English. Words like lonely, bedroom, and hurry. He loved to play with language. And here is another surprise. We do not know his exact birthday. We only know the day he was baptized. April 26, 1564. Shakespeare's life reminds us that creativity can shape a language and inspire people for centuries. Part 2. Charles Dickens. Charles Dickens is one of the most popular English writers. He gave us stories like Oliver Twist and A Christmas Carol. But here is a fun fact. When Dickens was only 12 years old, his father was sent to prison for debt. To help his family, Dickens worked in a factory. He put labels on bottles of shoe polish. The work was hard and the pay was small. He felt lonely and ashamed. But this experience stayed in his heart. Later, when he became a writer, he used these memories in his books. That is why his stories often show poor children, struggles with money, and the hope for a better life. Dickens turned his pain into powerful literature. His books are still read and loved around the world. Part 3. Jane Austen. Jane Austen is famous for her novels, like Pride and Prejudice and Emma. Her story showed love, society, and family life in England. But here is a fun fact. During her lifetime, Jane Austen's books were published without her name. The covers only said "by a lady." In those days, women writers were not always respected. So Austen had to hide her identity. Another fun fact: although her books talk a lot about marriage, Jane Austen never married. She chose a simple life with her family, writing her stories with humor and wisdom. Today, her name is celebrated around the world. Her novels are loved for their wit, their romance, and their sharp view of society. Part 4. Oscar Wilde. Oscar Wilde was one of the most colorful writers in English literature. He is best known for The Picture of Dorian Gray and his clever plays. Here is a fun fact. Wilde loved fashion and style. He often wore velvet coats, long hair, and carried flowers like lilies or sunflowers to make a dramatic entrance. Another fun fact: he was famous for his witty sayings. One of his most popular quotes is, "Be yourself, everyone else is already taken." People loved his humor and sparkle. But Wilde also faced difficulties. Because of his lifestyle and his bold ideas, he was sent to prison. Even with his struggles, Oscar Wilde remains a symbol of creativity, wit, and the courage to live differently. Part 5. J.R.R. Tolkien. J.R.R. Tolkien is the author of The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. He is called the father of modern fantasy literature. Here is a fun fact. Tolkien was a language genius. He created more than 10 new languages for his imaginary worlds. One of them is Elvish, spoken by the elves in Middle-earth. Another fact: Tolkien fought in World War I. The horrors of war influenced his writing. Dark battles and brave heroes in his stories reflect his real experiences as a soldier. Tolkien was also a professor at Oxford University. He studied old languages, myths, and legends. These studies inspired his magical worlds. His books became global classics. They show how imagination and creativity can build entire new universes. Part 6. George Orwell. George Orwell is famous for his books, Animal Farm and 1984. These stories warn us about power and control. Here is a fun fact. George Orwell was not his real name. He was born Eric Arthur Blair. He chose the name George Orwell as a pen name, inspired by the River Orwell in England. Another fact. Before becoming a writer, Orwell worked as a policeman in Burma. He saw poverty, injustice, and colonial rule. These experiences shaped his strong views on freedom and equality. His books are still powerful today. They remind us to value truth, to question authority, and to protect liberty. George Orwell used simple words, but his ideas changed the way people think. Conclusion. These famous English writers gave us more than books. They gave us new words, new ideas, and new ways to see the world. From Shakespeare's creativity, to Dickens's heart for the poor, to Austen's sharp view of society, to Wilde's wit, to Tolkien's imagination, and Orwell's courage. Each one left a mark that still inspires us today. Now, it is your turn. Which writer surprised you the most? Write your answer in the comments. If this video helped you learn and practice English, click the like button. Subscribe for more stories, and share this video with someone who also loves English and literature. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next story.